we're continuing with lines 437 to 440, finishing up this section of the text. O fortunati, quorum iam moenia surgunt, Aeneas ait et fastigia suscipit urbis, infertse saeptus nebula mirabile dictu, per medios miscetque viris neque cernitur ulli. Okay, this is vocative. O fortunate ones. This is vocative here, addressing them. Aeneas says this. And he's talking to the Tyrians. This is right after the be simile. Quorum, whose, that's a genitive, relative pronoun, quorum, whose, moenia, the moenia are the whose walls, iam surgunt, now rise. And the idea here is that the walls are already rising, in comparison to the new Rome, whose walls are not rising, and Troy, whose walls were destroyed. So Aeneas is, remember, looking for a new home. Walls are not rising for him yet, but this is a dream for him to see this happening for his own city. Aeneas ait. Aeneas says, that's a really bad looking, here we go, Aeneas, the subject, ait, says. Ait comes from aio, means to say. Vergil uses it a lot. And he suscipit, he looks up at the fastigia, at the heights, and then urbis, of the city, genitive, the heights of the city that is rising. Infert se, he bears himself. And remember, he's with Acades, but Vergil doesn't mention this right here. He bears himself, meaning he goes, he walks. Saeptus, this is modifying Aeneas. Enclosed, nebula, in a cloud, nebula. If you remember, Venus put Acades and Aeneas in this cloud. Nebula, mirabile dictu. Take that on its own here. Wonderful to say. This is the supine with an adjective here, wonderful to say, meaning it's amazing that this is happening, that he's enclosed in a cloud, he's become invisible. He bears himself enclosed by a cloud, marvelous to say, per medios. And this means per medios homines, through the middle of people. You know, he's walking among people and they don't see him. Per medios homines. So those, go together. Medios homines. You got to imply homines. And he mixes with men. Okay? I guess you could say medios viros. This is the viros that would really go here, but they don't go directly with each other, but it's implied that it is the middle of men. And he mixes with men. He mixes. He just mingles with the men. And that's ablative. It should be cum viris, right? Cum viris. Neque, and he is not, and he is not cernitur, discerned. He is not discerned uli by anyone. Now uli is a dative, so we'll do it like that, but notes it's a dative of agent, okay, meaning usually you would use an ablative, by anyone, but here we're using the dative for this purpose. I guess literally it would read, and he is not discerned to anyone, or discernible to anyone. That might sound a little better to say, and he is not discerned by anyone. Dative of agent. And ulus is an important pronoun, ulus, anyone. Let's just quickly go over the whole thing before we sign off here. O fortunate ones, whose walls now or already are rising, Aeneas says, and looks up at the heights of the city. He bears himself enclosed by the cloud, amazing to say, through the middle of people, and mixes with men, and he is not discerned by anyone. Vale.